Early this morning, a young man was shot with a firearm in the barracks section near the Big Pan Lagoon.
The networks were once again shot by the video showing a young man from the area of the Barrick neighborhood near to the Big Pond Lagoon wounded by a firearm. According to reliable sources at the Clarence Renewal Departmental Hospital, a man was admitted and received 2 bullet wounds, one in the right thigh with an exit in the right hip, and the other superficial on the left side of the face. The young man had no vascular or bone involvement and was discharged without complications after undergoing the corresponding routine studies. Until the time of this issue, the authorities have not provided statements that allow the details of the event to be clarified. This journalistic host will be attentive to the subsequent information provided by the National Police in this respect.
The damages caused by the passage of the Hurricane Julia in the department is still continue to be known. This time, Carolina is working to identify to know the damage in the different ecosystems in San Andres.
After the passage of Hurricane Julia, Carolina Corporation began the process to evaluate and analyze the state of the ecosystems affected by the passage of the natural phenomenon. The environmental entity of the department joins effort with the Ministry of Environment and Sustainable Development, the Humboldt Institute, the Sinchi Institute in Vermont, and Natural Parks to establish the capacity of damage and clear roads.
The evaluation process consists of a rapid assessment on a rapid identification of possible environmental impacts caused by the natural phenomenon of Hurricane Julia. We will have 7 days working in the field in different ecosystems, mangroves, seagrasses, and corals, and also on a land in dry forest. We will be working on a measuring transect monitoring plots and checking the environmental status of each of these ecosystems. Once we have the results, we will consolidate them in a technical report which will be published so that the community has access to the same information.
For the attention to the damages that are evidenced on the ecosystem, the corporation specifies that it will be established the restoration protocol that the entity performs in cases of disaster.
The Attorney General's office requested various entities of the archipelago to expedite the efforts to rebuild the hospital of the municipality of Full Providence.
The Attorney General's Office of the Nation requested the Governor of the Department, Everett Hawkins, to perform urgent actions in compliance with the obligations consigned in relation to the project reconstruction of the local hospital of Providence. In said request, the local leader is asked to carry out a program of socialization of the project with the citizens in order to resolve their concerns and requests and avoid the de facto actions, preventing in some occasions the entry of the necessary material for the reconstruction of the hospital. The Attorney General's office also requested the Carolina Corporation to manage in a timely manner the dumping permits in order to go ahead with the project of the reconstruction of the health center. The Attorney General's office also requested an immediate solution to the situation of the dock in order to give priority to uploading of materials and avoid rescheduling the works that affect the health care of the islands. Finally, it alerted the authorities involved in this project regarding the finalization of the declaration of disaster situation and the implications that this situation has on the express permits granted by the UNGRD to foreign personnel on the island that will be necessary for the construction of the hospital.
The Providence Hospital is 30% complete. This was stated by the Secretary of Infrastructure.
During his visit to the island of Providence after the passage of Hurricane Julia to see what were the damage and impacts to the structures in the municipality, the Secretary of Infrastructure made known through Teleislas cameras the progress of the new hospital in the municipality of Providence and the condition in which the schools are.
Vimos un avance del.
We saw an advance of 30%. We also talked there with the directors and builders, and we toured the site and we saw that everything is already in place. The isolated foundation system is cast. The base plates are in place and the columns are welded to them. All the columns have already been built.
According to the Secretary of Infrastructure, this is a dry system which will accelerate the pace in the progress of the construction of the hospital. Also, the sanitary facilities are already in place. And taking into account this, the construction of the hospital of the municipality will be carried out quickly. Regarding the school visit, the Secretary stated that there were no major damages in the educational institution. After the passage of the Hurricane Julia through the archipelago, one of them suffered small damage that at the moment is being resolved. Escalona points out that the other institutions are in optimal conditions.
And by Decree 337, the Departmental Bureau for Religious Freedom was created.
As a scenario for interreligious participation for the construction of the religious freedom public policy, the creation of the departmental table of religious freedom, cults, and conscience was formed in the insular territory.
This departmental table is supported by CREA, the law, and the departmental decree and signed by our Governor Everett Harkins Green and all religious entities. All churches are united there in a single sense, a sense of peace and coexistence and freedom and tranquility of worship for the good of all the archipelago department and its inhabitants. Decree 337 of 2022 has a highly positive impact on the island territory because it allows not only to establish religious freedom of worship and conscience but also to work with the public policy of religious freedom in the island territory. Thank God for this wonderful decree that impacts not only the religious sector but the entire community.
Through this policy, recognition and promotion of respect for individual and collective freedom can be achieved.
And we continue with the weekly report for COVID-19. According to the National Health Institute, we continue on 0 cases positive for our department archipelago.
The National Health Institute report through his webpage the number of cases reported during the current week in the country, where the archipelago of San Andres, Providence, and Santa Catalina remains at 10,333 cases reported, broken down as follows. Positive cases are 10,228, where 5,540 are women and 4,680 are men. Patients recovered 4,031 cases. Patients died 155 in total for both municipalities of the archipelago. On the other hand, vaccination against the coronavirus shows a total of 130,589 total doses applied. It should be clarified that to the date, no active case of COVID-19 has been reported in the islands. Likewise, people who has not yet complied their vaccination schedule should go to their EPS to request the corresponding vaccine.
And now let's get to know other facts that are making news in our brief news section of today.
After arduous pruning, cutting, and leaf lifter removal in the paved parts of the Hurricane Julia, the island's botanical garden reopened its door for the enjoyment of residents and visitors, and also informs that the ecological trails inside the forest will remain closed until the cleaning work is finished and they are considered safe for the transit of the citizens. The pedagogical group of the Secretariat of Mobility raised awareness of the high percentage of accidents caused by these vehicles on the roads of the islands. Among the recommendations given were to drive with caution, place the vehicle in permitted areas, respect passengers' limits, drive at a moderate speed, and ensure extreme caution when moving items. Due to the damage caused by the passage of Hurricane Julia, the facilities of the Punto Vive Digital located in the sector of the hill is out of service for the use of citizens. The local government reported that they are making the necessary interventions to open the site. In order to give continuity to the process of identification of the houses affected by Hurricane Julia, the departmental government informs that Friday 14th is the deadline to go to the Secretariat of Government and register.
With this information, we reach to the end of our broadcast. We see you tonight at 8 p.m. with more of Teleislas News. Good afternoon.